Hey guys, welcome back to Books and Coffee. My name is Jeremy, and today we are going to be talking about Star Wars Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. This is uh, the book that kind of kicked off the young adult Star Wars canon novels. For those who were not really a part of it, I wasn't, but I was made aware of it, and it's just so sad when I even think about this happening is when Disney bought Star Wars from George Lucas for $4 billion. Holy Spaceballs! That is so much money for a huge franchise like Star Wars. Um, but when they did that, all of the video games, comic books, TV shows at the time, but they kind of changed one at the time. All of those were rebranded as Legends and considered not canon, and so they started releasing books back in books in 2014 that were considered part of the new canon. So they wiped the entire slate clean, and I felt so bad. Sorry, once again, doing video, my nose stitches. Gosh, I think it's a mental thing. Um, but I kind of felt so bad for the authors because we're talking about decades worth of authors writing Star Wars books, and all of their work is not considered canon anymore, and that's just heartbreaking. So in a way, it's almost considered fan fiction, and I think that's just kind of bullshit. I mean, there's lots and lots of things that, like little like names of ships, certain places in the galaxy is now slowly considered canon or is being brought into canon, but none of the actual books are. But anyway, this was released. I should have looked at this before I started this video. I apologize. This came out in 2017, which is really when we started getting young adult, because young adult fiction is very big, and we have a pretty substantial amount of young adult Star Wars books. Let me tell you how much this book means to me. I read this around the time it came out, and to this day, it is my favorite Star Wars book I've read to date, and I've read a lot. Some I really want to reread because I want to review them here. But let me tell you, if this is the only Star Wars book you ever read in your entire life, please let it be this one. I'm going to tell you why. So this story, we are following our two main characters, Senna and Thrain. Who are both kind of, they're, so this book starts when they're both very young, and they both dream of serving the Empire and being pilots. That is what they are so passionate about that, and they want that more than anything. And both of these characters come from families that really don't give two shits about them, to be perfectly honest. And so they end up fulfilling their dreams. They get to go to the Imperial Academy and learn how to become pilots and serve the Empire, and fight against the Resistance, and that is what they do. And what's so brilliant about this novel is how Claudia Gray was able to formulate this book in a way that is so brilliant, because this book takes place before, during, and after the events of the original Star Wars trilogy. So we get to see these characters behind enemy lines, so to speak. Well, not really enemy, but we get to see them during the Battle of Hoth, the Battle of Endor, the Battle of Yavin, and that is so fucking amazing to see these characters, like, they get to, actually see and talk about these characters, and see things that we get to know. And what I love is actually getting to see what Imperials really do think of big name characters that we have known and loved, like Luke Skywalker, like Han Solo, Leia Organa. And what's really interesting, and I never really looked at it like this, is the people that are on side of the Empire, the Imperials view, and Ciena is one of the characters that actually says this. The people that destroyed the fourth Death Star, they talk about them as that's an act of terrorism, because despite what happened in in the event of the first Star Wars movie, they killed billion. Okay, actually, scratch that. They killed over 1 million people that was on the first Death Star, and I guess it's something you don't really think about. That, that was bad. It was a almost a planet-sized thing that had the ability to completely destroy another planet, as we saw what happened to Alderaan. And it's so interesting because I never for the life of me ever would have thought it in that in that way. And what I really loved is the relationship between Ciena and Thrain, because these characters are not so, like they started as like acquaintances that like stuck up for each other, then they become best friends, the bestest and closest to friends, and then they also inform romance. So there's romance in this. Surprise, surprise, I'm a hopeless romantic and I love romance, but this is a very, very good part of this book, and I won't spoil the book for those who haven't got the chance to read this yet. But there's a character about halfway through the story that realizes, maybe I don't want to serve the Empire anymore. Maybe this is not what I can accept morally, ethically, humanly. I can't really stand behind a empire that is willing to do such heinous things, and they have no remorse nor or feel regret for these kind of heinous actions. And so one of the characters ends up splitting and choosing to fight alongside of the resistance, and that makes the relationship with the one that is choosing to stand behind the Empire very tense and very split. And so their relationship, it kind of gets strained, and battles are won and battles are lost, and there is a devastating ending that left me in tears, in happiness, in joy, in frustration, and ultimately I adored these characters. We had 550 pages to get to know these characters. It's such a long time, and I've read this book well over 5 years ago, and I am still constantly thinking about what would happen next. And I so want Claudia Gray to write one. I actually wrote her on social media asking her right after I finished this one if she would ever write a sequel, and she responded saying, I would love to write a sequel, but it's not up to me to write it. Because Star Wars is owned by Disney, so it has to be approved through Disney or Del Rey or whoever is deals with that. It has to be up to Disney whether she gets to write a sequel to this. And if we see these characters ever again, which I won't spoil it, there is a possibility of seeing seeing a handful of the characters, whether they're main characters or side characters, in another media format. So far in canon, we have never seen these characters in anything outside of this novel. I want it so bad. Like the way this book is written is just brilliant, and I'm actually going to read to you the first little part of this so you can kind of understand the writing. A ship and this is the very beginning, so you're not missing anything. A ship sliced through the scale gray sky overhead so quickly it was no more than a line of light and distant screech almost lost in the wind. That's a Lamina-class shuttle. Thrain Kennerell pointed upward, jumping with excitement. Did you hear it? Did you, Delvin? His older brother cuffed him and sneered. You don't know what the ships look like. You're too little to know. Am not. It was a Lamina-class shuttle. You can tell by the sound of the engines. Children, hush. Thrain's mother never glanced back at them. She concentrated, holding up the helm of her saffron-colored robe so it wouldn't trail in the dust. I told you we ought to have bought the hovercraft. Instead, we're wandering around down to Feltina on foot like valley trash. So it's probably not the best example of the writing in this book, but trust me when I say the writing in this book is just amazing. And Claudia Gray, with one book, nailed her as a phenomenal Star Wars writer. And as of right now, she's written a total of 6 books for canon. She has written this one. She's written Leia, Princess of Alderaan. She's written 2 books for the High Republic line of books, and she has also written the novel Master and Apprentice, which is about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, which I have not read that one yet, but I am really, really excited to read that one. So, no, it's not the best review in the world. I did just reread this back in December, and it's always really hard for me to describe books that I have literally fallen in love with. But to tell you, this book has a lot of little, because so the hardcover, which I have going on right here, when it came out, it says Journey to the Force Awakens. So this was part of that line of books where they would release books that have like little Easter eggs to the upcoming film, and we do get to have little Easter eggs, and we get to find out why a star destroyer literally plummeted into oh my gosh, my memory is so bad right now, into Rey's planet. So I'm so bad at names and remembering certain details, but just take my word for it. I mean, I'm sure you can search the internet and finding reviews for this one. It is so good, and to this day, it is still the longest published book in canon of Star Wars so far. So I can't press this enough. Please check out this book. It is absolutely incredible. It is incredible. Just talking about this makes me want to go back and read it. When I was reading this for the first time, every bit of free time I had was spent reading this book. If I wasn't reading this book, I was doing something else. If I brought this book to work with me. I was reading this book on my lunch hour, on my 15-minute breaks. I was reading this book every single second I had free time. I think I read this book in a little over a week, and that's pretty quick for a book that's 551 pages. It's amazing. So I cannot recommend it enough. I just can't. So I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books. In fact, out of all the Star Wars books I've read, and I've read quite a lot, it is still my #1 favorite. So I really do recommend it highly. And the love story that is between Senna and Thrain in that book is just absolutely incredible. It's just so beautiful because it's not forced, it's very organic, and it stretches a long period of time. And if you love Star Wars books that is about the Imperial side to the Empire, I think you're going to really like it, because you really do get to see what you have to do to join the Imperial Academy, to pass it, which is not always easy. And it kind of answers a lot of questions. Well, because we're led to believe that the Empire hates everybody and everyone is mean, and if you work hard enough and you don't stab your Empire in the back, they do treat you fairly well, and you do get paid pretty well, and you can live a very comfortable life serving the Empire. And also, it also answers a lot of questions about why someone would serve the Empire knowing what they know, because these people grew up without the Force being a thing, without Jedi. A lot of people don't know that stuff ever existed because it's been so long, and it's also described in their schools within this new don't touch on that. They don't talk about things like that. So it does answer a lot. They look at the Empire as this great, amazing thing. So, and it also answers a lot of those questions about why someone would serve the Empire, when they also look at people like the Resistance in a very negative light, because on their side, who don't know any better, they look at the Resistance as they are the bad people that's trying to ruin everything. It answers a lot of those questions and so much more. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. I have several videos that will be going up tomorrow. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye bye.